if you honestly had a conversation with a woman, you find out how much they're actually, like, literally assaulted, you know. We don't even know. Guys don't know. We don't. And that's part of the other reason just talking about this kind of stuff, you know. Guys need to understand there's a problem we have as men.
The fact that we still have to have this type of campaign is tragic.
It is not an easy situation, and anybody who has been a victim of rape or sexual violence knows that it is not something that you can just ignore the next day and forget about it.
One of the biggest things about the White Ribbon campaign that I like about it is sort of, there's an idea with mob mentality that if people will do things in a mob that they would never do otherwise, and that's what this White Ribbon campaign really is about, is that getting together guys as a mob to do the right thing.
There's no words that you can tell somebody to take away the gravity and the enormity of what happens with a rape.
It's not some type of reality TV show. This is not Jersey Shore. You know? We don't want, this is not the way life is supposed to be, and there needs to be models. There needs to be a good model. And it's up to men to do that.
But you know, it could happen to anybody.
Started about, probably like 20 years now, maybe a little less. There was a shooting in London, Ontario, at a university, and it was specifically targeted towards women, where the gunman came in and to a classroom and divided the class, the women on one side, the men on the other side, and then shot the women, and proceeded to do that until he eventually killed himself. I mean, in the process, he killed a few men, but it was clearly targeted towards women. A couple of years later, I think a group of men got together and said that this was unacceptable, that there was this violence against women, and started this campaign with the White Ribbon and going around and making people aware and making an effort. And it was local for a while, and then it just grew and grew, and now it's this global campaign to stop violence against women.
2 years ago, there was a young man who I had helped in financial aid, and knew he really didn't have a lot of support at home and stuff like that. He got in a lot of trouble here because he had really, it was all over the news. He did some things with his girlfriend. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but it was really sad for me personally, because I knew he just needed guidance. You know, he was a young man who didn't have really guidance, and so myself and some other guys, we really thought this was all over the news. Framingham State, young college student, you know, attacks girlfriend or whatever, you know, and then we wanted a different message, and we wanted to be able to show students that there was a different way that they could act. And it was just sort of, I felt really bad, you know. It felt like this kid just didn't have guidance, and we wanted to provide that kind of guidance. Not only we couldn't do it to him because obviously he's not on campus anymore, but to the rest of the kids, to the rest of the college students. You know, rather than getting their messages from MTV, you know, Jersey Shore, is that it? Like, you know, instead of Marky Mark or whatever, like showing you how to be a guy, we wanted to show what it's like to be a real guy, an honorable stand-up guy. And that's what this whole White Ribbon sort of thing to me spoke, is like, we men, we don't stand for this kind of stuff. And we wanted a voice in it.
Oh, I mean, I think that sounds awesome. That sounds like something that everyone should be doing in their daily lives, you know what I mean?
But I think it's nice to hear that that specifically there is a community of men who are aware and trying to make other folks aware, and that it's working. I mean, it's on our campus. It's like you said, it's grown. So.
Yeah, the shooting gave me chills. I didn't like hearing about that.
You nationwide, I definitely think it is. I mean, just myself, you know, like there's a new documentary coming out every week on like CNN or major news networks about, you know, the statistics of like sexual assault on campus. So you definitely, you see that it's a problem. And I think I've seen quite a few of those, and I think the most astounding issue is how little of it is actually like seen and reported. I think that kind of just goes to show that like it's not like a totally voiced issue. It's there. It's just not the most voiced issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nearly an epidemic. I mean, in my mind.
That's insane. And you're like,
It's scary. It bothers me that you said 3 women basically per day because there's 2 of us here right now. So the third could be that woman one day.
I just think some of those numbers are crazy. You know, like that it's disproportionately. I mean, you would think almost that since there are more white people in the United States, that the more people who would be victims would be white just because of the numbers. But then that's kind of insane that it's, you know, American Indians, African Americans, like, and then obviously the LGBTQT community, and like a lot of those numbers don't even go like reported. You said like I think that's insane, and like there's definitely need to be some change about that.
Those numbers are hard to hear when you know more than 3 or 4 people. I mean, 1 in 5, or I mean, any of those statistics. I'm thinking about my friends. I'm thinking about, I mean, everyone on campus. I think that as a country, we think about these issues that we have, and we think about them not being close to home. Kind of, that's something I've seen in a movie, or that's something that, you know, I've heard maybe someone talk about in class, but just never happened to me, or maybe never happened to anyone that I know. But you don't know, apparently, because less than 5% of those things are being reported. It's really hard to hear.
I personally haven't seen or fallen victim to or know anyone personally, but as you just said, you know, there's so many unreported things and like all this undisclosed information. It's like, how do we know if it's a problem or not? So I mean, from what I've seen, I'm not sure, but from what those stats say, and from what I've actually heard from other campuses and other things, I'm sure it probably is, which is scary because it's like someone you're in class with, you don't even know. You know what I mean?
Not any more probably than anywhere in the United States of America. College campuses, yes. I think, you know, kids coming out of home, first time they're sort of like free to move about and do what they want, they make poor choices. And that's why I think it's even more important right now for us to set the tone as men, as a we don't stand for this.
I would definitely assume that it is. I mean, I know we hear about it every day. Every now and again we'll hear about isolated incidents, but I just think that those are just the ones that you hear. That's just the small statistic that you actually do hear about. I don't think it's reflective of the whole issue at large.
I'm sure there's some correlation between alcoholism and this domestic abuse, so it has to happen at least maybe once or twice a week then, you know?
If I had to think about it, I bet you it is pretty much right on the national statistic level. Like 1 in 4 women, before they leave this university, if they're here for 4 years, 1 in 4 of them will probably be the direct recipient of some type of aggravation, sexual harassment, or sexual assault.
I'm not sure. Probably, if not every day, I don't know. Probably at least every weekend.
The numbers obviously, are really painful.
It's difficult to hear because it is such a big issue, and it definitely impacts someone that everyone knows. You're definitely connected to it. I think it's kind of upsetting to hear that people don't think there's anything to do about it. And it's an issue that I think everyone should kind of be personally vested in trying to find a solution to.
As I said, it happens, and we have to educate the campus to avoid it from happening, to prevent these things from happening. Education certainly is one of the ways that will help.
A lot of the people that I talk to about this, if you sit and hear them, they'll say stuff like, well, don't they just make it up, And yeah, maybe one or two, or was maybe anybody susceptible to doing it, to making something up, but in the majority of women do not. I mean, this is a real cultural thing, and it's been long-standing, and it's something that is, we have to be able to do something about it, and there are statistics that prove that there is a way to handle this. There are ways to be able to cut down on sexual assault on a campus, and that's by bringing awareness to it. This is by men helping other men stay out of situations. Women, they know that this kind of stuff happens. It's the ignorance of the male students thinking that they can go ahead and walk around and that they're not at risk of being assaulted.
I was like, watch when someone don't swear. My God, like that's insane. I mean, at FSU, like on our campus, like. Yeah. I personally had no idea. I think one of the craziest things is that you're the perpetrator. That's what's insane, and those numbers are definitely something a lot of people don't know about on campus, I think that definitely needs to be addressed and an issue talked about on campus.
Something, maybe not even mandatory, but some way of getting people who wouldn't normally go to an event like, say, the Black Lives Matter town meeting or White Ribbon Campaign talk, with something that had that name on it, someone who wouldn't typically go to something like that, get those people there. So maybe making it mandatory. Maybe, I know people have been talking about maybe making it a part of like the foundation's curriculum or whatever.
Of course, the university police, the dean of students office, res life staff, health services, the counseling center, health and wellness. There's all kinds of a faculty member or staff member. Just talk to them and they'll be able to help you in some way.
Just talking what we're doing. And I just mean like at dinner, at lunch, or just like, I don't know, people think this has to be a thing. It doesn't have to be a thing. Like if these are things that are concerning people, which it is, and like I said, sometimes we're not always thinking about it, but if you think about it, it's concerning. In the same way that we're talking about how we're concerned about, maybe an exam or maybe, a personal relationship with a friend or whatever's on your mind or on your plate, like we should be talking about how concerning situations like this are.
Yeah, I would like to see men band together to sort of be an honor guard myself, and when you're out at parties, that there is an unspoken code between these men. They're out there to be able to step in to help women or to help men out when they're getting into risky situations like this. So if some guy's blowing his top at his girlfriend, that the honor guard's there to make sure that they know that this could lead to something. He's at risk now. He's at risk of acting out of anger in a way that's going to get him into trouble. And yes, to save the woman from being assaulted, but to help this guy not get into trouble and do the wrong thing.